All right, so who becomes the next U.S. president? The answer to that question, of course, is highly anticipated. The developments are being closely watched and monitored by millions around the world. Like we said, the outcome of this election will be felt far beyond America's borders. Like we just discussed, the U.S. election result could shape the future of not just America, but West Asia as well. This is, after all, an election that has far-reaching global implications. So whether it is former U.S. President Donald Trump or U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris, whoever sits in the Oval Office will not just hold the key to what happens in the United States. Their decisions will impact other parts of the world as well, especially at a time like this, where tensions are running high in West Asia. U.S. foreign policy holds immense sway over long-standing crises in the region. As per reports, the positions of Trump and Harris on geopolitical issues, while similar in some ways, could lead to starkly different approaches. Let's just dive into what each candidate might be bringing to the table if elected. Let's first examine how a Trump presidency might impact Israel's war in Gaza and Lebanon. During his campaign speeches, Trump on several occasions has lent support towards Israel. In fact, during a recent meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Trump urged him to, quote-unquote, secure victory over Hamas. Meanwhile, Trump's record from his previous term also lends some perspective. Remember, he recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital. As per reports, he sidelined the Palestinians and reportedly struck normalization deals between Israel and Arab states under the Abraham Accords. In the year 2020, Trump proposed a peace plan, remember, suggesting a two-state solution with a Palestinian capital in East Jerusalem. Many Palestinians condemned it as it favored Israeli interests, and it ultimately fell apart. Despite this, Trump reportedly continues to talk about his peace plan on the campaign trail, reaching out to Arab American voters in Michigan with promises of stability in Lebanon. As per reports, though, Trump has largely remained silent on Gaza. On the other hand, we have Kamala Harris. Harris on various occasions has spoken about U.S. support for Israel. As per reports, in contrast to Trump, her approach has been vocal, of course, on ending what she calls, quote-unquote, the inhuman suffering in Gaza. In fact, she's called for a ceasefire and has pressed Netanyahu on the need for a humanitarian response. As per reports, during her recent discussions with the Israeli Prime Minister, Harris reportedly said that while Israel has a right to defend itself, how it conducts its defense matters a lot. She has also reportedly expressed concern for peace along Israel's border with Lebanon and praised Israel's strike on Hezbollah leaders in September. But Harris faces scrutiny as well. As per various reports, many in the U.S., Arab and Muslim communities feel Harris has not laid out a concrete path to achieve her goals, like cutting military support for Israel or firmly endorsing a two-state solution. This perceived lack of clarity has reportedly led to some voters to question their support, a sentiment that could cost her critical votes in swing states with large Arab American populations. There is frustration, reportedly, within the Arab American communities who feel that the Democratic Party has taken their support for granted and done little to stop the wars in Gaza and Lebanon. And as per reports, many American Arab voters are reportedly considering voting for Trump. Not for his policies, but as an alternative option, reportedly. In short, this election could potentially mark a turning point for U.S. policy in West Asia. Both Trump and Harris, of course, support Israel, yet their approaches could lead to different outcomes for the region. The choice made by U.S. voters could have far-reaching consequences well beyond U.S. borders and end up impacting the millions caught in the crossfire in Gaza, Lebanon, and West Asia. Let's go straight across now to our correspondent Anas Malik, who is joining us on the broadcast, has been tracking the developments very closely there in the region. Anas, bring us up to speed with how this election is actually being viewed on the ground. What is the sense that you're gathering at this point?
Well, there's only one perspective here in Lebanon at large. We were in Sidon earlier today. We've been in Dahiyeh, and we're here right now we're here in Beirut. And largely the sentiment that the Arab American community shares and largely the Lebanese people share is that whosoever comes into power will force, quote unquote, force Israel, being a US's closest ally, to stop the war. There have been 3,006 people, let alone dead, in the past 13 months since October 2023. That counts up to about 7 people dead per day in Israeli raids. That's what the Lebanese Health Ministry has said. More than 13,000 people have been injured since last year. For the Lebanese people, while they have been very closely tracking it, and we expect a statement as well from the interim Lebanese government as and when the voting ends, or as and when the results come in. But for them, the only priority for them is to end the hostilities, the ongoing aggression by Israel, as what in their words, and they really hope that whosoever comes next into power in the United States, miles away from here, will ensure that Middle East and West Asia both are relatively at calm. Molly?
Right. When you've been speaking to the locals on the ground, Anas, in these different parts that you just mentioned, to what extent has the war, the tensions actually been at the top of their mind, and the impression that they have gathered from the stance that's been taken in the United States, which of course directly impacts them?
Well, war has had a greater impact. I think it's number one on the priority agenda, primarily because we're talking about 5.28 million population of Lebanon, and about 1.8 or 1.9 million having been forcibly relocated. They're internally displaced persons, they're refugees now, most of them from south and north, and their supplies are limited. Lebanon is not a country where you get adequate supply of electricity. There's only 5 hours of electricity that is supplied. They don't have enough fuel, they don't have enough resources. So that remains at the top of the problem. The war just adds to the problems, adds to their misery, because that has them homeless as well. With that being said, the people here on the ground, the locals here, they believe that it was lead up to the elections. They understand that there was a diaspora, that there was an audience that these electoral candidates were catering to, and now, as and when the elections are done and over with, as and when they come into power, they will be doing and taking practical steps to make sure that, as I said, both West Asia and Middle East are at peace. President Trump in his presidency has ensured it, as what people say they believe. So they really hope that whosoever comes into power does give them this respite, that it is an end to their miseries, it is an end to the war that is currently being waged onto their country. Molly?
All right, we're leaving it there for the moment. Thanks very much, Anas, for those ground inputs. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.